Hey everybody, I know it's been a while. I've been working on some large projects and I haven't had time to create too many videos lately, but I do plan on doing a bunch more videos here coming up. This is not a tutorial video. This is a video to review menu master tools, which is something that I've just created in the last couple of weeks here. So let's get started. Okay, so once you install Menu Master, basically it's done the same way as you do any other Phoenix install. Just basically copy the files up to your store. Once that's done and you go under Tools, Menu Master, you're going to be here. You do an install now, get started. What that just did is installed some database tables in the back end to allow us to properly record and manage all of our data. So we say, let's start our first menu. We'll call this main menu. And then we can create our menu. Now it notices right away that we're missing the modules required to make this tool work. So it automatically takes us to this page. If you were to leave this page right now and go back to the base of Zipper Menu Master, you would see this spinning icon on missing modules, but it would let you build all of the things you need to build. It's just nothing would show on your actual store. So rather than going into all of the module areas, so header tags and nav bar and so on, I built it all in here so you can just enable everything that's required right from here. So it saves you from going and hunting for everything. I should probably create a button that has enable all, but it's good, you know, if somebody wants to disable one of these for some reason, or if they're not planning on, you know, if you're not going to have your menus running in your shopping cart, you could leave that one disabled kind of thing. So whatever works for you. I'm going to enable them all for the demo just so we can review how this works. There are a bunch of hooks. This basically is just checking to make sure all the hooks are present. If you were to delete any of the hook files, this would show a red X and tell you that you're missing files. So it's just kind of like a diagnostic area to see, make sure everything's in the right spot. So now if I was to rerun that, I can see that all my modules are installed. So I can just go back. Now on the left-hand side here, Menu Master will actually support Phoenix all the way back to 1.0.7.0. Back then there was no info pages, so info pages might not show depending on what version you're running of Phoenix. But if you have info pages installed, if it's the core info pages, it'll work fine. If it's some add-on that's older, it may need a little bit of adjustment. So if I go in here, I could simply choose which pages I want to add, and I can simply add them. So now they've become part of this menu. If I was to save this, and if I went to preview just gives you a breakdown of all of the possible areas you can place your menus in Phoenix without having to go to the front of your store, because building the menus is all done in the admin. You have to actually publish the menu to get it in the front of the store. That way people don't see you building the menu and fooling around and, you know, changing your ideas and whatnot. You can round out the menus, get them all set up the way you want, and then you can publish them. The reason we don't see anything is because we have to add it to a location. So these are all the locations that you can decide to put your menus. So for the demo, we'll just do left bar, we'll do right bar, we'll do below the header, and we'll do above the footer. So now if I was to go back to preview, I can see my menu that I created. It's on the left, it's on the right, it's at the bottom. So if I go back, we can decide, say we want to indent this. I can save changes, go back to preview, and now it's a drop-down menu. These will be drop-up menus because they're at the bottom of the page. This will drop to the left. So if I want to go into, say I've got some Phoenix core pages I want to add, so you could choose which ones you want to add. If I wanted to do those and put them, say I want to put everything under account. And then I could also limit this if I want to. If you click on the little arrow over on the right of each of these, it brings up all the options for this specific menu item. So I can say Obviously, if it's an account page, guests shouldn't access that. So I can actually limit this. And you'll notice that as I'm doing this, this yellow key shows up just so that you know which pages are limited and which ones aren't. So if I was to save that, that would limit those so that they don't show up unless you're logged in. And you can see here they're not showing up. Now that's one downside with the preview is if you start putting those types of limits on there, it won't show up in the preview at all. What we can do is we'll publish this just to see what it looks like. So once you're happy with your menu, you can publish the menu. And so if I open up another tab here, here I can see I've got shipping and returns. I'm not logged in currently. So if I'm going to go log in, and now I see the account drop down. So that's pretty cool. Some other options that we have in here, we can change the colors of the specific menu item. So if somehow it's not going to follow along with the theme of the menu, you can change the specific item to behave slightly differently. You can upload an image if you want. So the way that works is basically and then if I save that, now again, that change won't end up on the front page. If I was to go back here and refresh, I don't see my image because I haven't published it yet. So there you can just see a little icon. Now you can go in and change the CSS to allow images to show up differently depending on how you're using them. If you want the images to be full width, full size, whatever you want. We'll cover that in a minute. So some other options that are in here, you got screen sizes. So say for example, shipping and returns, you didn't want that menu to show up on medium screens or large screens. You can choose which screen sizes you want those to show up on. And if you choose something like medium and large as being off, then extra large, it would be visible, it would disappear, and then on the smaller screens, it would come back. So you can really select what you want where. And that's handy if you start getting into creating multiple menus that show up in different places and have kind of different styles to them. Now, if I was to go and add a category, so say I add fruit. Now, when you add items, they'll always be at the bottom. You can drag and drop them wherever it is that you want them. Category behaves a little bit differently. You can choose how many levels you want to go. So if I say I want to go 4 levels on that, now when I preview fruit, it will let me go 4 levels deep. Okay. Products, simply enter in a search, pull up the test product that you want. So again, I'll look for the Phoenix test. There's a lot of data in here that I've been playing with, so some of these names aren't that great. But once you've added, or once you've selected your different products, you can add them. Custom links, so if you wanted to link to, some site, right? So you can add that. Again, you can click and put these wherever you want. If you were to put this underneath fruit and save it, fruit would have its normal fruit, and then that link would be at the bottom of the list. Phoenix core pages, we kind of covered that. Special items, you can add in horizontal dividers and headings, the search tool. So if you wanted to have it so that the search was in your menu, you could save that. And then the search would be on your menu as well. Okay, you can also back up and restore. So let's say you want to back up your entire menu, you can click backup now, and it'll store that in a directory in the zipper menu master folder to allow you to restore it at a later date. You can also back up specific menus. So in this case, we have one, but you can create as many menus as you want. So let's go create another menu. We'll call this menu 2. And we'll create another menu called menu 3. Okay, so menu 2, let's say that one has some special or some Phoenix core pages on it. We'll just randomly grab a few here. We'll save that. Menu 3, we'll say that again it has a couple of items here. Save those. We have to choose where we want those to reside. So if I said this was going to be on the left bar, and this is going to be on the right bar. So now I can go to preview. Now when I'm previewing this, I'm only looking at the menu that I have selected. So here I can see it on the right bar. But if I say preview all menus, it'll show me all menus that are currently enabled. So now I can see I've got my multiple menus here. I've got my multiple menus here. And then we have the menu across the top. Okay, so again, under the backup and restore, you could restore a specific one and it would basically rebuild that menu into what you have now. So right now we have 3 menus. If I said menu 2 and I back that up, I can see menu 2 is backed up just now. If I say restore it, we'll actually get a restored menu 2. So it doesn't override menu 2. It just puts that data back in so we can start working with it. We can activate it, we can rename it, we can do whatever we want with it. So that's very handy for sharing menus as well, right? So if I go under duplicate, same as creating a new menu and adding restore to it. Basically you can duplicate an existing menu, call it whatever you want, duplicate menu, and you would end up with a third menu. Now, if I go to menu settings, I'm just going to go back to my main menu here. If I go to menu settings, this is where all of the configuration is for how the menu behaves. Okay, and here you can edit the menu name, menu classes, menu display, if it's enabled or not. Sticky will allow the menu to stick to the top when you're scrolling down. Mobile menu, if you turn that off, once you get into mobile sizes, the menu will not display. Label text is handy if you want to put a label on the left side of your menu. If you have multiple languages installed, it will actually allow you to toggle through the languages here as well. Now colors, if you'd like to use the color picker and use hex or hexadecimal colors, you can do that. You can also change it to RGBA, and if you do that, then all the color wheels will be in RGB, but they'll give you also the ability to make things transparent, which is very handy when you start getting fancier with the styles. If you don't want that, you can always switch it back. It'll automatically convert all your colors for you, so you don't have to worry about starting over again if you switch modes. Menu type, you can actually do a left tree menu. Now, if you're going to do that, it only works in the left bar, but I'll just quickly show you kind of what that looks like. Now, one thing I should mention is when you're in the menu settings area, there's actually a preview at the bottom here, which is handy, just saves you from constantly going to preview. So you can actually see how the fold out works with the tree menu. And then if you just switch it back to regular menu, everything will work. You'll notice down here in the preview, all my other menus disappeared because, again, with the tree menu, it's only available in the left menu. So if I save that and scroll down, you'll see all my menus are back. So you can change, the bar color. If I want the bar to be a red and the border color to be green, I can save that, scroll down, and now I can see red with green. I can go in and add some padding. Now this is padding for the bar itself, so if I add in some padding here and I save that, you'll see now that it added padding around the menu. If I want margin, that's going to be the distance between the bar and the things around it. So if I put a margin in there, you'll notice now there's more gray space around the red bar. Corner radius, if I want to make the corners round, you can do this kind of thing and save that. And now you'll see that it's rounded. If you did something like this where it's 10, 0, 10, 0, save that, you'll see that it only rounds parts that have that 10 value in there. So if you hover over this, you'll see top value is 10, right value is 0, bottom value is 10, left value is 0. The way corners usually work is this, think of this as kind of the top left, this is top right, this is bottom right, this is bottom left. And then border width, I've got this little green border, but if we wanted to make that a little bit wider, now we've got our green bar. So main menu items, here you can see there's tabs. So if I go to main menu items, this is the actual items on the bar. You can choose a different font size. Right now the color is blue. If we want to change that to purple, this is going to be really ugly, but it'll show you kind of how it all works. The link hover color will make that so it's blue. And if I save that, you'll see that when I hover, I get my blue color and it's purple when I'm not hovering. Background color, I could decide that I want that color, and when I hover it, I can say I want a darker color. Again, this isn't going to be overly pretty, but it will do what we're asking it to. The border color, you can also choose what border colors you would like to have. And again, this is for the menu items themselves. So now you can see, and they're pretty small, so I'm going to increase the border width just so you can see what it's doing here. So you can see I've got green borders, and if I hover, I get the orange borders, so that's working. Padding, this is the amount of padding inside each item. So if I put in however many pixels I want, now I've got a lot of padding in here. This search bar is kind of pushing everything up, which is causing it to not lay out the way I would normally want it. We could remove that, or you could do some CSS. There is a custom CSS area in here where you can make some extra classes. So again, if I was to go back to here and call this my menu, and then I was to go into the custom CSS, I could say my menu and start writing my CSS. So it allows you to target it specifically for this. So if I wanted to get rid of some spacing in here, I could just look at what classes are involved in that and fix that problem. I might just for this example go and remove the search tool just because it is kind of it's gonna get in my way. So if I go back here to menu settings, you can see everything's kind of tightened up now. So if I go into the main menu items, corner radius, again, I can make the buttons themselves so they're round. Or I could, again, if I decided I wanted to do, 0, 50, 0, 50, you can get some funky shapes going on. It all comes down to what you enter in there on how they're going to look. We'll just put in something like this to give them a normal look. Margin would be the space between the buttons. So again, this is the top value, this is the right value. So if I put 10 in there, it's going to add some space between them. So that's kind of what I want. If I go into child menu items, now this will be for the fold out items. So right now I can see that everything's pretty blah in there. If I decide that I want the link colors in here to be red, link covers to be orange, save the changes to that. And now I've got my red and orange. Background color, I can make it so the background color is white, and then when I hover, let's say it turns to like a yellowish color. So that's working. Border color. This is the border color of the sub items. So again, letting you control pretty much everything here. And if you spend enough time, you can really make these menus pretty cool. So padding, we'll add a little bit to this. So to the top value, we'll add 5, to the right value. Margin, this is the distance between them. I'm going to leave that as is, and I'm not going to change anything else. So now if I was to publish this, I have to go back and publish menus. And now if I refresh this, I get the menu. Okay, now custom CSS, like I said, you can spend some time and go through this. There is this location ID. If you hover over that, it'll tell you all the locations. So if you're trying to, if you want to write specific CSS for specific locations for this particular menu on your site, you can actually target it by saying, say it's going to be the left bar. I could go 2 and then target anything I want after that. So if you know how to play with CSS, you'll understand what this means. If not, there is a bunch of themes you can already import that I've built, and I'll be adding to this list over time for sure. So basically, if I click import, you can actually upload a file to, so if somebody shares a design with you using this tool, you can upload their design and it will just replace the styles. It won't replace the menu itself. I've got some here already, so if I was to go choose Midnight Orange and import now, instantly I'm using that themed look. If I was to go back and publish this, now I can see that there is an issue with the arrows, and that's probably because I'm zoomed in here. I'm not sure what's causing that in this demo, but I'll make sure that gets fixed. And that's the thing too, is I mean, there will be many updates to this to come. So as people are sharing feedback and ideas, we'll be adding a lot to this as we go forward. So if you're adding margins, sometimes you have to put negative margins in other places to compensate. So that's something to be careful of as well. Now, by installing this Midnight Orange, you can see that the menu class is now Midnight Orange, and if I go to my custom CSS, you can see that there is some CSS in here to help do some of what that menu does. If I import another one here, so let's say we did pale stripes, now it has this kind of a look. So that's how easy it is to change the overall look of it. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into testing and making it look the way you want it. But you can take any one of these themes and simply import it and then go make changes to it. So if I pulled in simple gray, import now, I have a very simple gray menu, but then I can just simply go and change the menu items, change the background colors to be something that matches my site more than the simple gray, and save that, and I've immediately got a colorful menu. So now you can also export. So once you create your menu, you can simply click the export button and it'll automatically give you a config file. You can then email that config file to somebody and they can import and browse to that file and import it, and they will have your design. So it's very easy to share and build ideas with this. Now, if I want to delete a menu, so let's say I go back here, we'll just go to backup and restore. And if I say backup all menus, Okay, so I've got this one here at the bottom of the list. So if I go back and then under menu, I delete the menu. So now that menu's gone. If I was to go back up and restore this now, it's going to restore all my menus because I backed them all up. So I get a restored version of everything, which allows me to then get my main menu back. And I'm right back to where I was. So if I go more drastic and I uninstall Menu Master, so now Menu Master is totally uninstalled. If I refresh this, it'll install again. And I'm starting from scratch, I got nothing. But if I do a backup and restore, and I choose to restore this particular file here, I now have all my menus back. So that's handy, especially if you're migrating sites. Now you have to remember to re-enable all the modules again, because when I uninstall, I do some housekeeping and those modules are all disabled again. Now what I'll cover next is the menus for Mega Menu. So say I wanted to have the fruit menu to be Mega Menu. I can simply check off Mega, save the changes. Now when I go under fruit, I get a full width Mega Menu. Now the way that the Mega Menu works is every level becomes a column. And so basically, I'll just explain this manually. I'll turn off the Mega Menu on this. And we'll go create a new menu. So we'll call this Mega Example. And say I went in and created all the core pages, just so I have lots to work with here. Now accounts and newsletters. I could actually say a custom link, and I could say Mega 1, and I could just put a pound symbol in there. So if this was going to be my main Mega Menu, I could then drop these in underneath. Now for every one of those, I'm going to have a column. So if I was to start stacking these underneath as a third level, these will be underneath each column. So if I save that and preview it, I got nothing. Let me just go back here. Oh, I didn't add it. Okay, go to preview. So now you see I got Mega 1. Now I didn't actually set it to Mega. So if I set that, save it, go back to menu settings. So now I can see I've got my Mega Menu. I can see I've got 4 columns. And again, those 4 columns are the first items under my menu. So I've got Mega 1, I've got accounts and newsletters at level 1, homepage at level 1, create account at level 1, and account history. If I start stacking these under those will be the items underneath each of them. So at the end of this, I've got 4 columns with their information, and I've put this one level deeper so you can see what that looks like. So now if I go over this, you can see everything is there. The one level deeper is just not bolded. Now you could go in and we could add a heading, and we'll add a horizontal divider as well. So if I was to put this in there, and we'll put this in here. The heading, we'll add some text to that. Say our heading, and then we'll save that, preview it. Now I've got our heading in there, and I've got a horizontal spacer in here, this white line, which will use the border color. So you can obviously style this. So if we go back and let's grab a style. So we'll go under menu settings, we'll do an import, And we'll grab peaches and cream. And then again, you just got to spend the time to style everything the way that you want it. Okay, so something else I'll show you here is we can actually add icons to our menu items. So if we wanted to put in, I've got one example in here, but you can go to the icon library, which will take you to Font Awesome. Then you could search whatever icons you want. And basically you're going to put in the FAB, FA, Accusoft for that example. So if I put in FAR, FA light bulb, you can see the light bulb shows up immediately. So that shows you right away that you're going to have that light bulb visible. If you see nothing there, it means there's no icon. You've typed it in incorrectly. Okay, so a couple more features. I'll just quickly run through these. I don't want to take up too much time. This video is already getting pretty long. So basically, for your menu items, you can mark off if they open up in a new tab. You can limit them again to guest or user. You can make it so that people have to have things in their cart before they see menu items show up. Mobile, you can turn them off and on for mobile. You can disable items one by one. You can also change your alignment of the menu items. Something else I'm going to show you is if I just turn off the mega menu, and we'll pull a couple of these back here. Okay, so now if I save that, so say I wanted to actually disperse some of these items across the page a little bit differently. So I want to have some items on the left, some in the middle, some on the right. Right now, if I do a preview of this, you can see they're all on the left. So if I go back, I can actually add a special item in here for menu alignment. So if I take this menu alignment and I drop it in here, after that menu alignment, basically what will happen is everything will switch to center after that. So now if I preview, here I've got it centered. Now the space here is space between here and here, so it doesn't look very good. In order to do this so it looks proper, you're probably going to need another menu alignment. And then drop that in there. And now you'll end up with items on the right, items on the left, and items in the middle. Normally, to make this look good, you have to evenly space them, so you'd want equal amounts on either side so that the middle looks properly centered. Again, you can adjust that with custom CSS. And that really is all there is to it. Tooltips, I've got tooltips on everything. You can actually disable the tooltips once they get annoying, so they won't bother you anymore. That is a database setting, so it will be persistent. You can log out, log back in again, and the tooltips will still be off. But all you got to do is re-enable them and you'll get everything giving you tooltips again. So they're handy when they're needed, but they're not so handy if you know how to do everything, and they're kind of in the way. So I'm pretty sure that about covers it. I want to make sure I put out a special thanks to Heather Bell from the Phoenix Cart forums. Users like Heather Bell are great help to help developers test things and coming up with ideas and challenging us to do better. So really appreciate all the work done there. This tool would not be what it is if it hadn't been for Heather Bell's help. So thanks so much. Subscribe to the channel if you get a chance. Let me know if you like the video. If you have feedback, I'd love to hear it. I do plan to create more videos as time permits. I know there's been kind of a gap here, but I have a long list of videos that have been requested. It's just a matter of getting time to get them done. Thanks for watching, and until next time.